Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be playing duck chess, which is regular chess with the addition of a duck. After each turn, the player moves the duck to an empty square. Then, the opponent makes a move, and they move the duck to an empty square. The duck can never be captured. My goal is to win 3 chess games in this video. Let's get started with game number 1. Also, there's no checkmate in this variant, instead you actually capture the king. I'm not sure what the strategy here is. All right, we get d4 and there's a duck on d6. I guess we'll go ahead and develop our knight. Put the duck on d2 so he can't develop his bishop anymore. It's such a weird thing, this duck is immovable. Okay, he plays c4 and we get the duck on d6. I guess it would be fine to develop like a normal fianchetto. So I'll play g6 here, and then again I'll just put the duck on d2. It just seems to make the most sense. It looks like we're getting a queen's gambit, so maybe knight to c3 here, and then he's going to put the duck back on d6. Seems pretty likely. Oh, interesting. That's even more annoying. We do get knight to c3, but we get the duck on g7 instead. So I guess now I can play d6, and we'll just put the duck right back on d2. It seems to be the most effective square at the moment. So we have gotten our regular setup. Despite the duck jumping around, we're actually both developing pretty much normally. We'll go ahead and play bishop to g4 to hit the knight, and we'll place the duck on d2. And I'm just curious to see how he's going to develop, because I'm going to keep putting that duck on d2 every single turn if he lets me. Okay, we get e4 and then the duck goes to g7, sure. So this knight is pinned. We'll play knight to d7, and which one do I want to block more? I guess e2. That way he can't actually castle. So we'll put the duck on e2, and then hopefully we get to develop this turn. He might not allow us to, but... Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, we get bishop to h6, and then the duck is placed on g7, so that obviously we're not hitting his bishop. Which means if I make a different move, and then move the duck back to e2, his bishop can see ours, and I guess he could take our right to castle, but it's duck chess, so how normal can I really expect it to be? I'll go ahead and play e5. And then put the duck on g5 so that he has to trade. So he has to spend a turn trading with me. I play e5 because the knight is pinned, and I might as well fight for center space while I'm at it. Okay, we do get the captures, and I was kind of anticipating that. We get the duck to g8, so the rook can no longer recapture, but we have 2 different ways to recapture now, the knight or the king. And I still have the optimism that I'm actually going to castle, so I'll take with the knight, and let's put the duck back on e2. The most annoying square I could think of. Back on e2, we're stifling his development, he can't castle, and the question is, how do we actually get an advantage out of this? I guess just queen to d7 and long castle. Okay, we get queen to a4 with check, and the duck on e6, I guess to prevent us from defending on d7, question mark? I guess we can just play queen to d7 now. Let's play queen to d7, and then we'll put the duck back on e2. I mean, my biggest victory right now has been stopping him from developing the bishop. Of course he could castle long now, but in the meantime, this bishop is still stuck. So either he moves the pawn and hangs the knight, or the bishop just kind of accepts its fate. I'm sure he has to play like h3 or something, double the pawns. Okay, we get a queen capture, and the duck is now on c8. I guess I'll just capture with the knight, and put the duck back on e2. Okay, I can see now why this is so annoying. For me, it hasn't been that annoying yet. I feel like I've done a pretty decent job of upholding the integrity of my position, but I can see why somebody repeatedly dropping the duck on e2 could cause your blood pressure to go up a little bit. I can see why that would be a little bit enraging. Okay, finally he decides to just move the knight, so there's nothing targeted there anymore. Now he can play like g3, and I can't just pick up the free knight, and then he has 2 different ways to develop the bishop, meaning the duck alone won't stop it anymore. But now he's hung this pawn, so I'll go ahead and take the pawn, and put the duck on e2. For consistency, for continuity, we'll place the duck on e2. Okay, we get knight to d5, moving it out of danger. The duck goes back to d8. I'm not really sure what the idea of this is, to be honest. Oh, he's targeting c7, I see. Okay, he's targeting c7, and this doesn't allow me to long castle and defend it. Okay, fair enough. We'll go ahead and trade the knights, and put the duck back on e2. Oh my goodness. I almost feel bad, I really do. Because that must be very frustrating. Okay, he recaptures, duck back to d8. He's the one who can't castle, so I'm going to go ahead and castle, and put the duck back on e2. I mean, I guess now he could long castle. Maybe I should have placed it on d1. Okay, yeah, he did castle long. He put the duck on e8 instead, which gives me the exchange. So I'll go ahead and take the exchange and put the duck back on e2, stop him from developing. I feel like the annoying incessant child doing this, but anyways, we get the king recaptures as expected, and then the duck back to e8 to stop me from taking the open file. Sure. I'm not really sure what I'm looking for here. I guess let's just play knight to e5. Centralize our knight, and then we can drop the duck back on e2. I really am not doing this just to be annoying. It just doesn't seem to be a strategically better place to put the duck. Because every time I put it on e2, it stops his whole development. The bishop can't come out, which means the rook can't come out. In all fairness, him putting it on e8 means neither of my rooks can come out either, so we get knight to b3 targeting this pawn. Go ahead and push d3, put the duck back on e2. And I should probably play for another open file here, because as long as there's only one open file, the duck just keeps going back to e8, and there's no way for me to develop anymore. Yeah, see, duck back to e8. I could take here with check, which is actually pretty interesting. Duck back on e2, king takes, check. Looks kind of interesting, we'll try it. Take with check, put the duck back on e2. I'm assuming he'll take, we'll win another pawn. And out of that exchange, we've won a pawn, and maybe we can play like c6 and start opening up some more files. We'll take with check. I guess just duck back to e2. He'll probably target our knight. Okay, he does target our knight. We can play check and then pick up this pawn, so check, duck back to e2. I love this duck. I'm sure I'll have a game today where I'm enraged by it, but in the meantime, I'm quite liking this duck. Okay, king goes back, he moves the duck out of the way. We'll take and move the duck back. This rook is pretty close to trapped, it kind of has to move to g1. And I'm assuming he'll move the duck to e8, because if he doesn't, I'm taking that open file quick as day, so. Okay, he does stop us from taking the open file, moves the rook to safety, sure. We'll play c6 now, and the duck back to e2, and what I'm looking to do is just open another file, since my rooks aren't worth anything if they can't, get on a file, so. We'll try to open another file. He can't stop two of them at the same time. He can only stop one. Okay, yeah, I was going to say that's probably his best bet, is to take, not allow me to skewer the pawn, or rather pin the pawn. That way now when I take back, this is the open file, and there's a knight in the way. We'll put the duck back on e2, but at least now I have pawns that can march forward. Okay, we get g3. Obviously he's trying to get his pieces untangled. We get the duck to e8. Let's go ahead and play rook to... that's not really an open file, though. Let's play this. Knight to g4, put the duck back. That way, if either of these pieces move to g2, there's check, and I can at least take one of them. Which I'm interested in, because I am up the exchange. I'm also down time, a lot of time, actually. So, I need to focus up here a little bit. And this is a threat anyways, because I can play knight here, check, trade the knight for the bishop, okay. We do get the opportunity to play that, check. And where do we place the duck? I mean, I guess it doesn't even really matter, to be honest. We'll just place it here, so he can't walk towards the center. Probably just play here, we'll take, he takes back. And I guess we'll just push the pawns. Yeah, we'll take. I guess just duck here. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference. He's gonna recapture and put the duck back anyways, right? Let's start pushing some pawns. It's about time. I'll stop him from grabbing the open file as well. All right, if he's gonna stop me, I'm gonna stop him right back. Also, the time control for this is 5-4, so we get 5 minutes base time, and we get 4 extra seconds for every move that we make, which is quite good. We get king to d3. We'll take the open file and stop him from doing the same. Okay, I think he needed to place the duck back here again, because I wasn't interested in this file anyway, since the knight is in the way. Okay, we get king to c7, the duck goes to e7. We'll now grab the other open file, put the duck back on e2. We can look for this check now. This is kind of annoying, though. What? I don't think he understands that the objective is to take the king, because what was that? Maybe he meant to play here? Okay, that had to have been a mouse slip, because this just wins the game. Okay, I guess we win? That might have been a mouse slip, though. I feel kind of bad. I'm sure he meant to play king to d5. Anyways, let's move on to game number 2. Actually, now that I think about it, he might have just clicked on his king and noticed that he could take the pawn and just wanted to see what was up with that. That's also possible. I'm sure if you click on your king and realize you can take a protected pawn, it must be quite the shock. All right, he stops us from developing, so we'll move the knight instead and do the same thing right back to him. I'm assuming we'll just go back and forth. I'll probably develop my knights. And maybe I can play like e3, g3, so there's two different ways to develop the bishop, and I can guarantee that I can castle. Let's play knight to c3, duck back to d7, I'm assuming knight c6, duck back, and then we can play like e3, g3. So there's no way for him to stop both of those, and then we can castle. Although actually, even if I get my bishop out one way or another, he can always just put the duck here, and then I definitely can't castle. I didn't consider that until just now. Anyways, let's play e3, duck back to d7. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that. Hope that he doesn't play that? I don't think I have a way to stop that. Okay, we get h6, and then the duck to d3, which is kind of amusing. I mean, I guess he thinks this is important to stop. Probably would have been better on e2 though, so I'll play bishop to e2, and then the duck back to d7, and we'll see if he realizes he can just put the duck down and stop me from castling. Yeah, he does. We get g5, duck straight to f1, and the castling dreams are gone. Let's see, is he looking for g4? What was the point of this move? I guess just bishop to g7. So we will develop and then put the duck here and stop bishop to g7. It's interesting because the duck is quite the impediment for pieces that can move long range on diagonals or files. So the bishop, the queen, the rook all have reach, but it's conditional on whether or not the duck is in the way. But the knight doesn't have that. The knight can always jump over the duck. So there's no way to stop a knight, which makes it quite strong. And after all of that yapping, I've just realized my opponent is trying to trade a bishop for a knight, which in this variation makes a lot of sense based off the analysis we just made. I'm going to play knight to e5, and then... should I play the duck here? No, I'll play it back to g7. Yeah, duck back to g7. If we trade, I'd rather it be a knight for a knight, because I can't imagine these pieces are all that strong, especially in closed positions, when the duck can just come in and intercept. So I'm also quite proud. I'm doing a little bit better about watching my time. All right, we get bishop takes. I'll take back with the queen, and drop the duck back on g7. I mean, if I can stop him from developing, I will, so... I mean, that's how regular chess is anyways. You're racing in the opening to develop and then castle, because whoever does both of those things is ready to attack. And whoever hasn't done both of those things isn't ready to be attacked. So I'd imagine it's the same in duck chess. You want to beat your opponent to development, and then you want to stop him from developing his own pieces. Now, that's just my analysis, and I'm exactly 2 games deep, not even 2, into duck chess, into my duck chess career. But that's my current analysis. We are hitting the knight, so the knight has to move. Okay, we get knight to e4, and if we can trade knights, I'd like to. Let's put the duck back on g7. If takes, no matter where he puts the duck, I can just castle the other way. Okay, he puts it on f3. So I'm going to castle long for the sake of setting up this discovered attack. So castle long, and duck to g7, stop him from developing. Nice! I mean, we've achieved the opening goal. We've developed and we've castled, even with the duck jumping into our position, so I'm pretty happy with this so far. Okay, we get e6. He's going to force this to happen, right? Now the bishop has 2 different ways to develop. There's no way for me to stop both, and, very smart, he clogged our bishop from moving, so there's no discovered attack anymore. Let's play now. This check is pretty interesting because it does pick up this pawn. Let's give it a try. We'll play check, and where should we move the duck? Oh, what if I just move it to c6? Oh, it's kind of like a duck discovered check. Oh, that's pretty good. Let's do that. Duck to c6, and now the discovered... Oh, this is so weird. Now the discovered check is the threat that we can move the duck anywhere and it'll be check. Although, the duck can't really threaten anything, so... Anyways, maybe he'll get intimidated by this, not place the duck back here, because it would be putting yourself... Oh, that's really good. I've just figured out what that's good for. If you place the duck and stop your own check, the opponent can't move the duck anymore, because obviously they'll lose their king. So now he's hit our queen, but let's see, can I just take? Yeah, I think I can. We'll take, and I have to move the duck, so I'll move it here. I'll move it to b8, so now we're threatening the rook as well. Then obviously he can't take it, he can't move the rook away. Queen to d5 is probably necessary. There's also check right after, and this is looking very promising. And again, just basic chess principles. You developed, you castled, now you're ready to attack, and that's exactly what we're doing. And not to humble brag, but I think we're doing a pretty decent job of it. I think here, if he just doesn't panic, he can develop the bishop, drop the duck back on c3, and for the most part, he's solved a lot of his problems. There's still check here, and then dropping the duck, but then he can castle out of it. So I'd probably play check and then drop the duck in the way of his castle. Okay, we get queen to c8, and then the duck back to c6, which makes sense, right? It means I can't check anymore. Oh, but wait a minute. And this is exactly why I was hyping up the knights so much before, because the queens and the rooks are conditional, right? Now I can take the queen with check, drop the duck on b8, and he can't recapture anymore. So this should be completely crushing now. King here, I'm sure there's check. The rook dives into the position. The pawn stops the escape square. There has to be checkmate here in just a couple of moves. But that's why I was hyping up the knight so much earlier, because all of these pieces, the rook, the queen, and the bishop, they're all strong, but only conditionally, right? We win the game, which is awesome. We're now 2 for 2. And I think this is going to be a really helpful strategy, is looking for these connections. Whenever a rook, a queen, or a bishop defends another piece at distance, just drop that duck in and take that piece. All right, let's move on to game number 3. Oh, we were immediately paired. That was really fast. All right, d4, duck to f6. That is my new opening. And we're playing against the chess king, so I expect a very tough game here. Okay, we get d5, duck back. I'm going to do the same thing as last time, develop the knights, make it hard for him to develop the bishops. Although I guess if the knights are the strongest pieces, maybe I should concern myself more with stopping his knights from developing. But that's so much more difficult to do that I don't think it's worth it. Because the knight will always have multiple, even like playing e6, this knight has 1, 2, 3 different places to develop. So we'll play knight to c3, drop the duck back on d7. We'll do kind of just the same plan as last time. e3, develop, and maybe like queen to e2, try to castle as fast as possible. I'm also going to keep everything pretty close range, since this duck is all about intercepting your pieces when they're trying to do something. Like here, right here, intercepting me from developing. I'm going to keep everything close range for that reason. And this time I'm going to drop the duck on e7, because I'm more concerned about this bishop developing and him castling than this one, which is now blocked in. Okay, he's doing the same right back. We get knight to c6, duck drops in on e2, and we'll develop our bishop to d2 and drop the duck back in front of that bishop. We're also playing a lot more quickly. I've used 14 seconds now for the first 5 moves, which is so weird for me to say, because for anything else, like for bullet or blitz, that wouldn't be impressive at all. But for duck chess, I consider that confident fast play. Okay, a6 is something of a random move, and we get the duck back on e2. Let's play g3, duck back to e7, and this is going to happen whether he likes it or not. We're developing this bishop, we're developing the queen, and we're castling one way or another. It's going to happen. Okay, he stops me from developing to g2 and copies my idea by playing g6. We'll go ahead and play bishop to d3, and we'll drop the duck on e7 just to make things asymmetrical. I'd like to play queen to e2, maybe h4, h5. That is not h5. There we go, h4, h5. Castle long, and then have some sort of kingside attack going. But before I do all of that, I'm going to play my queen to e2, so I have both of these options at my disposal. Okay, unfortunately here he misses the idea of dropping the duck and stopping me from castling, so I'm going to play queen to e2 and stop him from castling. I now have 2 different ways to castle. It's up to him which one he decides to stop, and he has 0 ways of castling, so I would say we're already at a slight advantage here. Okay, bishop to d7, and he stops me from castling long, which makes sense. That's probably the most threatening way that I could castle. I'll castle short instead, and drop that duck back on f8. Okay, we get queen to e7. He's now catching up to us, and the duck goes back to e1, I guess just disconnecting our rooks. He's catching up to us. I think I'm going to stop him from castling long, or should I invite the chaos of that? I'm not really sure now. We're up on time, so I'm going to take a moment to think about this. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a3 to set up b4, and we're going to stop him from castling short. Basically, we're going to force him to castle long and take a tempo on that, and then set ourselves up for that attack. Since we know that we can, direct which way he castles, we'll take advantage of that to get a head start on the attack. Stop him from castling short, force him to castle long, and get a head start. Okay, the duck comes back to e1 and we get e5, so he's trying to open up the position even though his king is in the center, which is usually not advised. Now we just have to prove that it's not a good move. We can take here because this queen doesn't actually defend anything. Remember, these are always conditional. We'll take here, drop the duck on e6, and then we do give him the option to castle at that moment, but we're also threatening the knight. So we'll take, drop the duck on e6, only one defender, and we also have one defender, or rather, only one attacker, we have one defender, and we've just won a free pawn. We're threatening the knight. Okay, knight to g4, duck on e4, seems to drop this pawn, hitting the queen, and I'm not sure that we have anything better, so we'll take here on d5, and stop him from, how should we stop him? Duck on d8. Yeah, that looks good. That way we stop him from dropping the queen back to defend c7. So there's no way for him to move the queen now and defend c7. So he either drops the queen or he drops the rook. And on the way loses the right to castle, right? Because he's going to have to move his king out of check. Okay, queen to c5. And the duck goes to b4. And I really don't understand that move, to be honest. We will take with check. And which way do I want him to move his king? I guess I want him to move towards the queen side. So I'll drop the duck on f8. It's looking pretty good. We're going to win a rook. And the king can't castle. And he's in the center. So a lot of things to look forward to in this position. Maybe we can even line up the rook on this open file. Depends on whether or not he sees that far ahead. Okay, he stops one rook. But instead of actually placing it on d8, he just stops this one. We'll take on c7. Where do I move this duck to now? Does it really matter? I'm going to put it on g8 to stop him from developing the rook. To be fair, this pawn is as good as gone. I'm not really going to try to hold on to that. I'll just invite the trade and look for some kind of counterattack. Okay, he does take. Let's recapture and then put the duck back on g8. If he takes with the knight, we're in business because there's bishop to a5 check. Oh, he does. Okay, bishop to a5, and I almost feel like we should just put the duck on b6. Or we can stop the king from moving. Nope, better idea. Let's put it on e8. Yep, let's put it on e8. He can't actually... Oh, wait, this is free. Wait, what did I just play? Why did I play that? Oh my goodness. This is totally free. He's going to look at this and be like, what? Why would he give up the free bishop? Maybe he'll get scared. Maybe he'll get intimidated and say, oh, I can't take this, but I don't know why. He's actually thinking about it too. Oh, he actually moved the king as well. That's so crazy. That's actually insane because that's exactly what I was thinking. Incorrectly so, but I was thinking if king to e7 and the duck moves anywhere else, bishop to b4, pins the queen to the king. I think he just had the same brain fart we did. He just didn't even consider that he could just take the bishop. Anyways, now we have to save two pieces, which is quite a headache. Let's start by threatening the queen and blocking the rook from hitting our knight. Seems like a good place to, oh my goodness. I can't believe I played bishop a5. Anyways, this seems like a good place to get started. The king is still in the middle. We still have our material advantage, and we now have a time advantage as well. I've only used 3 minutes, and he's used almost 4. Okay, queen to c6, and the duck moves to c4. The knight has to defend the bishop, but the knight is under attack by the rook. But we can always move the duck back and stop the rook from attacking it, so that's in our favor. Let's play b4, and then drop the duck on g8. The idea here is to cement the bishop on c5. It's protected exactly 1 square away, so it can't become undefended. And obviously the duck here is to stop the rook from hitting the knight. Okay, bishop to h3 threatens the rook. Duck on e4 doesn't actually do anything. Oh, wait. Whoa. This is advanced duck chess right here. He's going to move the duck anywhere he wants after and threaten checkmate in one move. Let's play check and move the duck to g2. That's high IQ right there, right? Because now he has to move the duck, and he has to make his move first. So if he has to move first, he can't move to where the duck already is. Incredible. Not to mention, it's worth noting that you can capture the king in this variation. So just getting checkmate isn't actually enough, because if your king gets captured on the next turn, you don't win. So I guess checkmate in this variation is more like the setup, right? Checkmate is the move before you actually win the game. He's down to 14 seconds. I don't know what he's thinking about, but it better be mighty strong. We get bishop to g4 hitting the queen. Duck stops the check, which is quite unfortunate because I think I can just take this now. I'll take the free piece. I'll move the duck back to g2, giving check. And we are now up material once more. King is still in the center. Oh wait, he can just take back and move the duck back. No, duck chess is too advanced for me. Oh, duck chess is too advanced for me. He just takes back and moves the duck back to stop the check, of course. That makes perfect sense as well. Horrendous. Okay, let's threaten the queen and then deliver duck check. Nice. We're now threatening the queen and delivering check. There's no way he can stop. Wait, yes he can! Of course he can! He can just take it again. Why did I do that twice? Oh, this is the problem with duck chess. Oh man, why did I do that twice? Okay, let's... Oh, what do I do here now? F3? Let's play F3. Oh my goodness. Let's play F3. And then move the duck to G2. Please work. Please work. I need this to work. There's no way he can defend all of these at the same time. Okay, finally, he moves the queen. We actually win some material. And where do I move the duck now? Let's do E8. Yeah, so we force the king to come out in some way. He can't just hide back on the back rank. I guess he could move to D8, but even that invites check. Oh, never mind. He just blocks it with the duck. Why am I just forgetting that the duck can always block? Does that also mean that if I get double check, I win immediately? Or does... Well, no, he'd have to not be able to move his king. Oh, I'm down to 11 seconds. Oh, goodness. This and that, because why not? Okay, I'm down on time control now as well. Let's try to get this knight out so we can get rook to D7. Oh. Never mind, he's just hung his king. I didn't deserve to win that at all. Not at all. But somehow we got away with it. I wonder why he played queen to E6. Maybe he meant to play queen to E6 and then put the duck back on D6. I think we've won 2 of these games now on misclick. But you know what? I'll take it. I feel like I fought a good fight on all 3. And I feel like, unfortunately, I've become quite intimate now with duck chess. I started this game off saying that the duck would be my friend. That duck is my worst enemy. Anyways, if you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys want to see more of this chess variant, and I will see you guys in the next one.